I'm just going to get kicked out. All right, so I'm going to mute everybody for the moment, but remember, you're always welcome to unmute yourself. You have the permission and the power to do that. You can also chat me, and let's get going. All right, so I'm going to slide on over to the mat here. So some additional props that we might want to have, if we have them, are our chairs. They can come in handy. A bigger folding item, so not just our folded towel, but a blanket would be nice. And our yoga blocks, obviously. Any extra cushions, pillows, bolsters, or pillows if you have them. And just like we were talking about, we'll get into our hip stretches and IT band stretch. So we'll want to have a yoga strap, a belt, a long scarf, or something to work with here. So we'll start off, again, you always have the option to do whatever is best for you, but we started off with just a gentle inversion last class, and this is where the chair will come into play. However, if you have a wall nearby and you'd like to start today's class and legs up the wall, you're welcome to do so. So I have a wall on this end and my chair on this end. If we are going to use the chair, we'll just bring our calf muscles on top of the chair. If we have longer legs, we might need to place additional cushion on the seat of our chair, and also just to make it softer, right? So we're not resting on the harder surface. Well, I have a wooden chair. So if we're choosing the chair, if we don't have the chair, stack some pillows or cushions underneath the calf muscles. Add an extra element of softness for the back and the head. So you can just smooth out a blanket to that end of the mat. And even sit on it so that when we bring our calves up onto our chair, we'll be able to relax the lower legs there. The crease of the knees can kind of snug up to the edge of the chair. But let's try to sit slightly back from the chair so that our thigh bones are a little bit more at an angle instead of perpendicular to the floor. And that will allow the front of the hips to stay open. So we're in flexion a lot of our day, especially if we're sitting at a desk. So we're in that 90 degrees. So this is a way to get a little bit of that opening so we're not still in that position. Arms will roll off to the side of the body, palms up, or cactus our arms with the elbows out to the side, palms up as well. And like I said, if you are near a wall, you're welcome to do legs up the wall. You can add additional cushion underneath the low back or the sacrum with your bolsters or blankets. And you would just scooch as much as you can so that the hip and the outer hip is resting up against our wall, and then sweep the legs up so that ideally you can have a little bit of space between the buttock and the wall. Some people like to take their cushion a little further away from the wall if you're using it. Legs will go up the wall, and same thing, we can rest the arms beside the torso or cactus them out beside the body. Now this will be an option at the end of class too, so if there's a place in your house where you can do legs up the wall at the end of class, you can move yourself there too. So you'll have an option at the end of class as well. So once we choose where we want to be to start our practice so that we can reconnect to our body, our breath, and our brain, we'll loosen things up, wiggle things around, adjust the shoulder blades, find the very back center of our skull. Poof the cheeks a couple times. If you're a jaw clencher like me, take a moment to fill the cheeks up with air, wiggle out the mouth, tongue, and jaw. We'll close our eyes. And once we get all the fidgeting out of the way and the adjustments, we'll take a nice deep breath into our body this evening. And on that exhale, we'll press that pause button, cultivating stillness in the body, allowing the mind to also settle down into some stillness here. So feel the body and the mind come closer to the ground. We're redirecting our energy here in our gentle inversion towards the throat, the upper half of the body. So on a physical level, this just helps decompress the joints of the legs, all the pressure that we put into our feet, ankles, and knees throughout our day. These poses help improve our circulation and redirect that blood flow towards the vital organs, and like I said, towards the brain. So we'll start to feel a sense of relaxation, a sense of release as we move through our body, relaxing all the muscles of the body. Pay special attention to those little muscles around the face. So we often have our brow furrowed without realizing it, or like I said, or clench our jaw without realizing it. Let the weight of the arms sink into the ground. The low back is sinking into the ground. And the legs can be heavy as well, but we might also feel a quality of lightness as they're elevated. If we happen to come across any areas that we're feeling a little differently in our body, tight, stiffness, little aches and pains, totally normal. Important to acknowledge those areas and not label them bad. Just acknowledge and honor them. Sending a healing breath into them. And practicing santosha, or contentment. So accepting wherever our body is tonight. And now we'll start to spread our awareness to the rhythm of our breath, beginning by just following the natural rhythm of the breath. Observe and watch the body breathe in. And observe and watch the body breathe out. Noticing the rise and fall of the body, maybe the belly, the heart, and the chest, but also feel that expansion and contraction through the side bodies, even the back of the body. And so we are incorporating this layer of not only Samavriti pranayama, but Ujjayi pranayama. So to establish our even and equal breathing, we'll start to mentally count our breath. So on our next inhalation, we'll just mentally count the number that we're breathing in to fill ourselves up with that fresh air, prana, and energy this evening. And on our exhales, we will mentally count the same number back out. Now, if you already have an Ujjayi practice, it might just come pretty spontaneously to go right into it. If you're still working on this vibration, start out very gently. You should never force or strain the throat. There is a gentle contraction in the base and back of the throat around the glottis. What this does is it narrows the air passageway, so it creates more of a vibration, and as the air tries to move through that narrow passageway, it makes a soft whisper or ocean-like sound. And it also helps slow our breathing down. So when we slow our breathing down, we also take deeper, fuller breaths with it, which is both beneficial on a physical level and mental level, because it works on our nervous system. And you might just barely hear the sound of your own breath in Ujjayi. If you have someone practicing with you tonight, you might hear your neighbor's breath as well. But when we add Ujjayi, our breathing should still remain as smooth and consistent as possible. Try to focus the mind solely on the breath, on the sound of the breath, the rhythm of the breath. We're focusing and centering, improving our concentration, taming that monkey mind through the tool of pranayama. And we'll all try to take one more full cycle of breathing. This next round of breath, we will let go of trying to count the breath. Simply on the next inhale, breathe in as much as we possibly can. We're sipping in the air, we're filling our body to its maximum. Expanding and filling. When we think we can't possibly breathe in any more air, try to gently sip in a little bit more. We're not straining, we're just filling to our capacity with purpose. And at the very top of that breath, when we can no longer take any more air in, we will slowly, with control, start to exhale and take our longest exhale out of the body. Now this, we will put a little bit more effort into it because it does take some contraction of our muscles to push and squeeze that air out of the body. You can imagine putting that energy into a tube of toothpaste when you want to get that last little bit of toothpaste out of the tube. Squeeze and empty, empty, empty. Every last drop. And at the very bottom of that exhale, we will let go of trying to control and follow the breath. So it'll wander away wherever it wants to. That's totally fine. Let's start to notice and feel maybe a shift in how our body feels, our mind this evening. And we'll come back to the physical body. So giving our toes and fingertips a little bit of a wiggle. Depending where our head is in space, we might be able to rock our head here side to side. Now, those of us that have swung our legs over a seat of a chair, just walk your feet to the edge of the chair and then gently drop your knees into your chest. You can float your hands under your shins or your knees and rock side to side. If any of us have been in legs up the wall, we'll want to slide our feet down for a moment, bringing the soles of the feet to touch and the knees open in Baddha Konasana. That will help our blood pressure regulate here a little bit. Chair people, you'll bring one arm next to the head and roll over to your side for a moment. Just adjust yourself with your chair. Same thing if we're at the wall, we might push our feet into the wall to try and wiggle our hips and walk our shoulders away from the wall a little bit. One arm beside the head, and we'll roll onto our side and pause here. So we'll take just an extra moment on our side because we were in a little bit more of an inversion. And then we'll turn our heart towards the ground, press down, and bring our bodies up. No rush here tonight. And then we'll have to reorganize ourselves in our space. So if you need to move the chair out of the way, just do so mindfully. Grabbing our cushions or whatever we might be sitting up on, and we're going to come right into a seated posture tonight. So we'll get it organized here. Once we're reorganized, we'll take any comfortable seated position. So I'll give us all a moment to resituate ourselves. And then once we're here, we will find the sit bones. So purposely move out any flesh that's underneath there so that we can feel grounded. Contract a little bit through the lower abdominals so we can sit up nice and tall. We'll reach our arms out to the side of the body, turning those palms up to the ceiling and just taking a centering breath here. So on our next breath in, reach those arms all the way up to the ceiling. On the exhale, turn your palms out and float the arms back down to the ground. Now we're getting a little bit of movement with the neck and the drishti. So on our inhales, when we reach up, float the chin up, keeping the back of the neck long, and roll your eyes up towards the fingertips. On our exhale, when we float the fingertips to the ground, you're going to keep your chest up, but you're going to drop the chin towards the chest, almost in a Jalandhara Bandha or throat lock. Inhale, reach up, chin floats up, opening the front of the throat. Exhale. So don't round the spine here. Keep the spine long when we drop the chin towards the chest. And one more time. A centering breath with a little bit of action in the neck. Now we'll meet on that inhale. So the next time we reach overhead, big stretch up. We'll bring our palms to touch and exhale our hands to our heart center. Interweaving all 10 fingers here. We'll flip our palms forward, do a little of extension and flexion for our spine now. So on the inhale, flip those palms forward, float the arm bones up beside the ears. Same thing, the chin can float up a little bit. Now on this exhale, we're gonna scoop, tuck, and round. So I'm gonna pull the belly in, round through the upper back, splay the shoulder blades. I can still try to squeeze my chin towards my chest. Inhaling, float those arms up. Chin can reach up. Exhale, now adding the spine. So releasing any tension in the upper back between the shoulder blades. Just one more round of seated cat-cow. On those inhales, try to open the chest. Exhale, really stretch it out. Next inhale, we'll meet up again with the arms reaching towards the ceiling. Let's open the hands up and go right into our flowing twist. So on our exhale, we'll rotate and twist to our right. Let the neck, head, and eyes follow. Open those eyes as wide as possible. Peek behind the body. Inhale, reach everything back up. Maintain this length. Exhale, squeeze and twist to the left. Remembering we're keeping the shoulders and chin parallel to the floor. One more time to each side. Follow the breath. Good. Nice alignment. Keep that length. Rotate around the axis of the spine. And again, on our next inhale, when we get there, we'll meet with the arms reaching back up to the ceiling. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So we'll come into seated again, but let's try to switch up the cross of our legs. We want the opposite foot in front, sitting up nice and tall. So we'll do our lateral extension or seated triangle, but we're gonna approach it a little differently tonight. So instead of flowing from side to side, we'll breathe and hold one side and do a couple of variations there. So continue to sit up tall, draw that low belly in to protect the spine. Inhale, right arm up. So we're creating this length, we're rooting the sit bones. Exhale, let's lean it over to the left. But we're gonna continue to breathe and hold here. So we'll start to feel the stretch through the waist, the rib cage, and the shoulder. We'll add a little bit of movement as we please. So on our inhale, let's try to take our drishti up to that top hand and purposely draw that right shoulder blade back a little bit. We'll feel this through the chest, maybe through the front of the shoulder. On the exhale, I'm going to look down to my left knee and reach my arm as if I was reaching in that same diagonal over the knee. Now I'll feel this more through the upper back and shoulder. So we can kind of move through this dimension, inhaling a little bit more chest opening. Let the drishti follow because that will incorporate some movement for the neck. Exhale, reaching forward. Now some of us might want to stay in our lateral plane, just creating space through the side body and maybe turning our drishti down and up. Good. And let's all do one more breath on the side. Inhaling. Exhaling. When we get to our next inhale, we should bring it back to our lateral plane. Pull ourselves all the way up out of the pose. Come back to center, and then we'll switch sides. So we'll inhale, stretch that left arm up. Keep the sit bones rooted, low belly in, and lean it over to the right. The more we can anchor that left hip, the more we'll feel that stretch up through the side body. And there is weight in this hand. Our inhales can pull that shoulder back, looking upwards to the ceiling to stretch through the front of the chest, the shoulder. Exhales, I'm going to reach over that opposite knee and my gaze turns towards the knee. So again, just kind of explore this. This doesn't have to be a very big movement, but it's a really nice way to get tension out of the shoulder girdle and just kind of help release the head and neck. One more full breath in the pose. When we get to that next inhale, we should bring it back to our lateral plane to reach up out of the pose. And then exhale, float the fingertips back down to the ground. Inhale, breathing, both arms reach back up. One more time. Bring those palms to touch. Exhale to our center. So from here, we're actually going to stay seated for one more pose tonight. So let's give our legs a quick break. We're gonna stretch them out in front of us. If we're higher up on a prop, remember to keep your knees bent. You can try straightening one leg out at a time, kind of prance them, flex and point your feet a couple times. Use your hands behind your hips to help keep the spine nice and tall. We can also take our flat palms or fists and give ourselves that punching or slapping massage down those legs. So the next pose that we're going to practice is actually Janu Shirshasana, but we're going to approach it a little differently tonight. So we're going to think more about compression through the throat in this pose. It is a stretch for one of our hips and our hamstrings. So some of us might want to pull over our yoga block or an extra pillow to support a knee. So Janu Shirshasana, we should still be sitting up as tall as possible on our sit bones. Again, if we're elevated, you need to purposely keep a little micro bend in the knees. If we're really high up, you could take your blanket or your towel, roll it up, and place it underneath the knees. So we just want to make sure we're not hyperextending through the knee joints. And if when you stretch both legs out, you're like me and really tight through the hamstrings and low back, and it throws your spine out of alignment, we either need to sit up taller or bend our knees up more. So for me, I have a pretty deep bend in my knees in this pose in order to keep my spine straight. So from there, we're going to step our right foot in towards our sit bone. If you have a towel or blanket there, you just got to work around it. We can use that shin bone as a brace to open up the chest and heart by pulling the shoulder blades down and back. We'll allow our right knee to fall open at this point and encourage the sole of the foot to the inner thigh. So the heel might draw up and towards the perineum. It kind of depends where we are on our left hand or our sit bones. This is where we might want to add that additional prop underneath the right knee for support. I'm staying square to my left leg, which is extended, and I want all 5 of those toes pulling back towards the shin bone. Now, normally we keep our spine in neutral as we come forward into Janu Shirshasana. This is a little different of a version. So for this version, we'll plant our hands to the outside of the left knee. We'll still inhale, lengthen. This is all about compression for the throat. So on the exhale, I'm going to apply Jalandhara Bandha. I'm going to round through my upper back, purposeful articulation of the spine. I'm going to look at that kneecap. Now, some of us are going to be 10 feet away from our knee, which is an exaggeration, but maybe more like 12 inches, a foot away. And I'm going to round towards that knee with purpose. This isn't just hunching my back without purpose or coming out of alignment. I'm compressing through the front of my throat. Little hard to breathe here, so you're just taking tiny little sips of air through the nose. So the other thing that this variation does is it stretches more of our connective tissue that runs up the spine. Some of us take care of our low back, and if this is contraindicated for you in your low back, you may do the more traditional version where you keep your drishti towards your big toe and you keep the throat open, okay? So if we're scooping, tucking, and rounding, if you want to feel the compression from knee to forehead and you do not have that already, bend your knee up as much as you need to. Mine is bent almost up to 90, maybe past 90, and press your third eye center onto that kneecap. And then you can use your forehead to push the knee back down to the ground. But we should also be actively pulling the navel towards the spine. So if this feels weird a little bit for the body, it might, totally normal, just breathe. Those of you that have a straight left leg, you're able to compress the throat, round forehead to knee. You might be getting a little bit more intense of a stretch up the back of the left leg. Left feet should be active. Don't let them flop. Pull those toes into the shin bone. Try to take one more breath. On the inhale, keep the chin tucked. You're going to articulate again and inhale, roll up the spine. Walk your fingertips in to help you. You're restacking the vertebra of the spine. Your head should be the very last thing to come up. Once you're realigned, we'll float the right knee up. And you'll just stretch your right foot back out to meet the left. We'll pause into a dandasana or staff pose. Hands beside the hips, sit up nice and tall, pausing in neutral position. A little bit of an exaggeration, pull those shoulder blades slightly back. Feel the stretch of the heart, but don't hyperextend through the low back. So continue to pull front body to back body. Take a nice big full breath because we were just in compression. And let's try that on the other side. So we'll step our left foot right in front of the sit bone. Sit up tall, brace the shin for a moment. Really activate the length of the right leg all the way through the toes to shin bone. And then we'll allow that left knee to fall open. Sole of the foot can come towards the inner thigh. That heel may or may not reach up into the perineum. Don't force it. Support that knee as needed. We're still square facing our right leg. Toes are still active. Hands just frame that knee. Create that length. So I'm not leaning backwards. I'm still lengthening up through the spine. So I'm creating that space up my spine, adding the throat lock, and then moving through the upper back, stretching between the shoulder blades, pull that belly in, rounding down towards that right kneecap. Drishti to the knee. Maybe even inwards toward the belly button. If first glance you see the knee, then maybe you're seeing the belly button. If this ever strains the low back, you do not do it, please. It's not worth it. Like I said, those of us that want to just feel that compression forehead to knee and we're not able to do that with a straight leg, we'll bend our knee up until we can add that compression and push the forehead down. And then from there, maybe we can use a little bit of that extra pressure to bring the leg a little bit more into a straight position. Those of you that are a little bit more flexible, you might have that straight leg. It should still be strong, forehead to knee. That is the name of the pose after all, but we're targeting this throat compression. Little sips of air. One more breath. Our next inhale, we'll restack the spine, one vertebra at a time. Roll it up. Head's the last thing to come up. We float the head on top of the shoulders. We sit up nice and tall. And then we'll float the left knee up and extend the left leg to meet the right leg. Dandasana, either actively flex, well, we all want to flex the feet, but actively have a micro bend in the knees if you don't have that support and as it's needed. Draw the shoulder blades slightly back. Feel a stretch through the heart. Keep this action through the lower half of the body. Inhale, breathing. Let's reach the arms up to the ceiling. Legs are super strong. Use your core. Good. Palms touch. Exhale to our center. So from here, we'll all step our feet in. We will move our props out of the way, and we're going to make a big transition to our tabletop. So we'll clear our spaces. Take a moment. We're in no hurry. So we'll stack those joints, spread those fingers, knees underneath the hips, head is floating in line with the spine. So continue to draw that low belly in. Let's stretch our right leg back behind us, straight from the hip, all the foot to the floor. We're going to shift our weight back through that heel to intensify the stretch for the back of the leg. If we want even more, try to pull your left knee from the floor tonight. And I'm going to give you the option to add Jalandhara Bandha again. So I normally say float the head in line with the spine, but purposeful compression, chin to chest, trying to pull that knee towards the forehead if we're hovering, even rounding between the shoulder blades a little bit to build up that strength in those muscles. One more breath. On the inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bring the knees back down to the ground. Keep those hips level, low belly in. Give that left leg a stretch back from the hip. Follow the foot to the floor, shift the weight back, intensifying the stretch to that heel. You're welcome to stay here, equal weight in the hands. Those of us that want a little bit more, we'll pull our right knee and foot from the floor in our runner's plank. You may keep your gaze forward and we'll purposely add that throat lock, tucking the chin to our chest, actively drawing that knee towards our forehead, rounding slightly through those shoulder blades, feeling that strength in the upper back. One more breath. Inhale, look forward. And then on the exhale, we'll bring our knees back down to the ground. So one more pose here. Re-extend the right leg from the hip. This time, keep the right foot flexed. Squeeze the right glute, and we'll hover the right leg parallel to the floor. Flexing the right knee so that the sole of the foot is now facing the ceiling. This is called tiger pose. So on our inhale, we will look forward and up and try to lift the sole of the foot up a little higher. On the exhale, point the toes of the foot, pull that knee back under the body, tuck the chin to the chest and squeeze. Inhale, strengthen the back. Squeeze the glute, press the sole of the right foot up, try to gaze upwards. Exhale, pull and scoop it under. One more round, tiger pose. We will meet on the inhale. And we're gonna try and hold and breathe here tonight. I'm gonna add one more element in this pose. Point the toes of the right foot. Reach your left arm forward. Some of us might just stay here, hovering in space. If you wanna try Ardha Dhanurasana, flip your left thumb down, reach around, and you may be able to find your right foot in space. And then you can very carefully kick the foot into the hand. It will stretch your left shoulder back. If we have the foot in half bow pose, breathe it in. On the exhale, mindful release, we bring the left hand down and the right knee. Fingertips or fists for wrists. Our wrists might want to take a break. Take a couple of our cat-cows. Inhaling to extension, exhaling to deflection. Again, you can target a little bit more through the neck and shoulders, or if we need to loosen up those hips and low back, get those pelvic tilts in there. And then let's balance ourselves out. We're gonna do all that fun stuff on the other side. So spread the fingers out nice and wide. The arms are strong. This whole time we're building up upper body strength. We're also helping to prevent osteoporosis and arthritis. This weight-bearing exercise, super healthy for our bones. Pull the low belly in, keep your hips level. Stretch that left foot back straight from the hip. Now squeeze the left glute, the low back, the hamstring, and hover it parallel to the floor. Flex the left knee to 90, sole of the foot is now facing the ceiling. Still equal weight in both hands. Root through the knuckles so the wrists don't take all the pressure. Inhale, try to lift that foot up and look up. Exhale, point the toes of the foot, scoop, tuck, and round, nose towards the knee. Inhale is all about strengthening the back. Try to roll the eyes up. Exhale, compress, chin to chest. One more round. We'll meet on that inhale again, pressing the sole of the foot up. We're welcome to stay right here tonight. This is a powerful pose in and of itself. But feel that effort it takes to keep that leg up in the air behind us. A little bit more, the right arm stretches forward. Now we're balancing. A little bit more, flip the right thumb down, reach around, point the toes of the left foot, and you can take half bow pose. It will pull the right shoulder back, so you're getting that stretch around the neck and shoulders again. Left foot kicking in the hip. Good, wonderful options. If you have that foot, breathe it in. Carefully, exhale, no flinging of the feet. Bring the right hand, the left knee down. One more time, some baby cat-cows. Get it all back into place. And then let's sit it back and give our hands and wrists a break. So we'll open our knees nice and wide, point the toes, drop those heels towards, or the hips towards the heels. I can't talk tonight. Open the hands as wide as the shoulders. And we can melt the heart and the head towards the ground. Balasana, child's pose. If you want to take that prayer variation, getting another stretch for the backs of the arms, we'll bring the palms to touch in a prayer position. We'll bend at the elbows, placing the thumbs at the nape of the neck, and then try to inch our elbows forward a little bit more. And some of us will feel a nice big stretch up the backs of the upper arms, our triceps. One more breath here, also receiving that nice stretch across the low back. Next inhale, brings those hands back forward, spread the fingers, float the head and the body back up to our tabletop. Realign those knees under the hips. Let's walk our hands one hand's distance forward, tuck those toes under, draw that low belly in. We're gonna press up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana tonight. So parallel those feet, adjust your stance as needed. Roll through the inner mound of the index finger and thumb. Roll those upper arm bones away from the ears, shoulders down the back. Again, another school of yoga continues to add Jalandhara Bandha in our Adho Mukha Svanasana. So that means we squeeze the chin towards our chest and try to bring our drishti towards our abdomen. You might notice a little bit more of a stretch through the spine doing that. If it's not comfortable, don't force it. And then let's give the backs, those legs, a nice stretch. So we'll pedal our heels a couple times, bending the opposite knee. That also works flexibility through the feet and the creases of those toes. On the inhale, let's all try to lift our heels up as high as we can. Exhale, sink those heels towards the ground, modify by bending the knees a little bit more deeply. On our inhale, we'll move into Uttanasana, forward fold. So walking the hands to the feet, feet to the hands. Give the head a nice little release here. Dangle one arm at a time if we're taking our supported forward fold with our elbows on our thighs. If you're moving up to Tadasana or another modification, just work on your alignment and your posture. And some of us might want to ragdoll here, hands to elbows, and do a little sway as well. Feet are strong, knees are unlocked. Mula Bandha, pelvic floor, Uddiyana Bandha, lower abs should be contracting and pulling in and up to support that low back. And we'll also articulate through the spine here. So we'll all micro bend our knees from forward fold. Placing the hands on the thighs, turn the fingers in. Squeeze that chin to the chest, press into the ground, and on our inhale, let's restack the spine one vertebra at a time. Try to keep that chin locked as you come up. Inhale, breathing. And then we'll unlock the chin, float the head, give those shoulders a little squeeze up by the ears, and then let's pull them back and down. Stand in Tadasana just for a moment, feet parallel. Let's turn those palms forward today, and even try to turn your palms out to the sides of the room. So we're rolling those upper arm bones out. This will give us a subtle stretch across the chest. Relax the head and the neck. Inhale, let's reach it up. Big stretch. Bring those palms to touch. Again, I get a little cut off, so I'm going to kneel down just so you can see the hand work. We'll do our palm tree pose, a little different variation in the hands. So we'll interweave all 10 fingers. Flip the palms. On the inhale, bring those arms back overhead. Pull those arms bone back. Press up through the heels of the hands. And now lift your heels up. On the exhale, you'll lower your heels down. You'll bend your elbows out, and the knuckles will land on the top of the head. Yes. Inhale. Push your palms up. Lift your heels up. Reach it up. Exhale as slow as possible. Drop the knuckles to the crown of the head. Lower the heels. Good. Let's all try 2 more. Inhale. Reach. Big stretch. Exhale it down. 1 more. And then this next inhale, we reach up, we're gonna hold it up. So next time we come up, don't hold your breath though. Open your arms up and do a little sway side to side. Keep your core in. Pelvic floor muscles should be pulling in. We're trying to balance on the balls of the feet, strengthen the lower legs. And then 1 more inhale is going to reach everything back up to the ceiling. Try to take your drishti up. If we do a little tap dance, because it throws our balance off, that's okay. And then exhale, turn those palms out, floating the arms back down beside the body. The heels come down. Pause here. Just notice how that feels around the arms and the shoulders. Turn those palms forward. Try to turn the palms to the sides of the room with the pinkies facing forward as much as we can. Breathe it in. And on our exhale, if we're not already there, we're going to walk our way up to the top of our yoga mat with our feet parallel and bring our hands on our hips. Stand tall. Step the right foot back from the hip into high lunge. So there is space between the feet, left knee over left ankle. We feel our pelvic bowl here. Try to scoop it under. So lengthen the upper buttock down to the ground. Push your right hip forward, we'll feel a pretty nice big stretch up the front of the right hip. Pull those lower ribs in, front body to back body. And then on our inhale, we're going to reach those arms up to the ceiling. We're going to add some twisting action here. So on our exhale, we're going to twist to our left through the upper body, the shoulders, the head and neck. Try to peek behind you to those left fingertips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, open twist to the right. Try to peek behind the body. Hips stay square. We're twisting through the thoracic vertebra. Inhale up. Exhale, squeeze to the left. Bring it out. Open those eyes wide. Peek behind. Inhale up. Exhale, open twist. Now inhale, both arms up to center. Exhale, palms touch, hands come to heart. We're going to come into our revolved lunge. You're welcome to keep your spine stacked and turn to the left. If you'd like to try tipping at the hips, we would try to anchor the right elbow to the outside of the left thigh or knee. And the other goal is to try to keep your hands at the center of your heart. If we're upright, stay upright, no problem. Good. Now, if we have that lock, hands to heart, tonight, let's make a fist in our left hand, pressing it into the palm of the right hand, and using that to draw the left shoulder back. Neck is long, but we'll try to look up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. All core, bring the palms back together. On the inhale, we're just gonna look forward and bring our body back up to neutral and high lunge. Good. Exhale, pull your right foot forward with the strength of your left leg, standing in Namaste. Keeping the hands at the heart center, lift the chest into the thumbs, float the head, observe the body and the breath. Inhale, reach those arms wide and overhead. Exhale, hands to hips. Big step back with our left foot this time. High lunge. Buoyant on the ball of that foot, right knee anchored over the waist. We feel our hips and our pelvis. Give it a scoop, tuck it under. Pull the belly in, root the tail down. Feel that stretch up the front of the left hip. On the inhale, both arms reach up. Exhale, squeeze and twist to the right through the upper half of the body. The shoulders, the neck, the eyes, try to peek behind. Inhale, pull yourself up to center. Exhale, open twist to the left. Inhale it up. One more time to each side, nice big squeeze. Inhale up. One more open twist to our left, good. Inhale, arms reach up. Palms touch. On the exhale, our hands come in front of the chest, thumbs into the sternum. We can rotate to the right and stay upright. If we'd like to try to tip, pull your core in, bringing that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. This also stretches the IT band, at least if you're as tight as I am. So when we do this lunging revolve twist, I can feel this pull all the way up through the outer right hip. Some of us will feel it more up through the back leg or just intensity through the core. Breathe. Right hand makes a fist on this side. Right hand pushes into the left palm, and this will help draw the right shoulder back so that the gaze can move up, revolving to the upper half of the body. Big, powerful pose. Use your Ujjayi breath. You remember our Ujjayi breath? This is a good pose for it. Sometimes Ujjayi breath makes us a powerful warrior. Sometimes it calms and centers the mind. And then bring the hands back to heart. Inhale, look forward, press off your right foot to bring the body back up to center, facing forward. And then exhale, left foot steps forward, pause and standing. Balance the weight on both feet. Relax the face, the neck, and shoulders. And then big breath, draw that big circle out wide. Overhead, drishti to thumbs for a very gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to heart. So we're going to do the standing balance, and actually this is another stretch. Well, we're going to do the standing balance part, but if we were at a wall, this would be a really nice way to stretch that outer hip as well. So let's do the balance part first, and then I'll show you an option that you can do on the wall. Maybe you can do that later tonight. So let's start with our hands back on our hips. If you need to rearrange yourself, do so. And let's start with the insides of the feet and legs touching. Draw the core in, use your bandhas. Hover your right heel from the floor, and then we'll float that right leg up to 90. So this foot is actively flexing, no lazy feet in this pose. This is a super powerful pose. And there's an element of a twist for some of us. So some of us will stay here. Otherwise, we'll flip the left palm up to the ceiling and slide the left hand to that outer thigh or knee. Now, when we start to use this as a lever, don't let the knee cross the midline. You keep your right knee pointing straight forward. Instead, we contract through the right side of the body, and we start to twist to our right. Now, the left arm can reach straight back from the shoulder. The right arm can eventually reach up, or you can try to take hold of the outside of the left foot and extend the foot forward. I am not doing that, but that would be where you get a really big stretch in that outer thigh. Good, nice choices. We fall out of it, we just come right back to it. No judgment. Don't let the ego get in the way. Falling is part of the practice. We'll take one more big breath in. Now on the exhale, we look forward. We bring the right hand back to the hip, left hand back to the hip. Inhale, stretch that leg out. Exhale, bring it down. Float the arms down, palms forward or turned out, and pause. Keep that drishti very focused. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. And then we're ready for the other side. So let's start with our hands on our hips to feel that power around our waist. Float the left heel, squeeze that left knee up to 90. This foot actively flexing, pull the belly in. Always welcome to work on balance work here. Or we'll flip the right palm up to the ceiling and slide the back of the hand to the outer knee. Using this as a little bit of leverage. So if I'm going to push in the knee, I'm not going to collapse. I'm going to press that thigh back into my hand. And I'm going to squeeze to that left side, and that's going to help rotate through the upper back and shoulders. Right arm may reach back. Drishti moves to that back thumb. The thumb is pointing up to the ceiling. Left arm can also try to reach out to a T, or you may try to reach down for the pinky edge of your foot and extend the foot out in your grip. If anybody would like to try that, takes a lot of hamstring flexibility. Keep breathing. Big breath in. On the exhale, we'll bring the left hand to hip, look forward, right hand to hip. Inhale, stretch the leg out. And exhale, release. Bring the arms down, float the palms forward, take a breath. And then relax. So we're gonna transition to the ground, but since I mentioned it, let me show it to you. We don't all have a chair and a wall, so we're not gonna necessarily do this pose tonight, but if you wanted to kind of get to the outer hip and twist, you can set up your chair with the wall, step your inner foot onto the seat of the chair with that fly here. You bring your hands a little wider than the shoulders. You can ground that outer hip towards the wall, and then basically you press into your one hand to start rotating and twisting. So obviously twist, you'll feel it through your upper half of your body, but again, people like me that are really tight in this area, I also kind of get that stretch through that outer hip. All right, so let's make another transition. So let's find ourselves back to the top of our mat in Tadasana. Ears over shoulders, float those arms, stand nice and tall. Feel grounded through both feet. Big breath in, last chance to stretch everything out. Big reach, gazing upwards, we're doing a little bit more. On our exhale, micro bend those knees, hinge from the hips, and swan dive it down. Taking our modifications and moving back into a forward fold. On our next inhale, let's take a halfway lift. Pull those shoulder blades down the back. And then on our exhale, bend those knees, plant the hands. Big step back into our planks tonight. You choose full plank, kneeling plank. And then 2 times with the breath, we'll practice our rolling plank. So this is going to be articulation again. We're going to be doing our chin lock, which will help stretch out the root of the neck. So breathe it in plank. On the exhale, squeeze chin to chest. Poof up the back of the heart. So I'm rounding purposely through my upper back, mid back, rolling like a wave down my low back, shifting that wave and that weight all the way down my legs. My heels sink to the ground. Chin is still tucked. Inhale, lift the heels up. Lift the hips up. Start to lengthen through the low back, mid back. Chin is still tucked. And then eventually, crown of the head stretches forward, plank. Exhale, start with the chin, squeeze. Poof up the back of the heart, mid back, low back, hips. Weight shifts all the way down the backs of the legs into those heels. Our breath in, heels up, chin is still tucked. Hips up, roll through the low, mid, upper back, crown of the head stretches forward. One more breath here. And then inhale, float those hips up as we normally would. Exhale, heels towards the ground, downward facing dog. Just for 1 or 2 more breaths. Pedal those heels if you need a little bit more of a stretch. Inhale, heels up. And exhale, let's drop to our knees. Point those toes, come off our hands, and sit back in our child's pose. More traditional version, knees stay touching, head drops to the ground, and the weight of the arms just flop towards the floor. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, another rounding. A lot of compression through the throat, and then on up. So we will practice our Simhasana lion's pose, and then I promise we'll get into those deeper hip stretches. We got time. So in our lion's breath pose, the traditional seated pose is to open your knees wider than the hips and sit back. Big toes touch on the heels or the wells of the feet. That's not for everybody, so we can open the feet a little wider and place a block or 2 on a slow setting, medium setting, so we're more upright. You can forego the feet behind and underneath the buttocks all together and just bring your feet in front of you and sit cross-legged. We'll do several rounds of this like we did the other day. Don't strain the throat. So it'll be a big breath in through the nose with the eyes closed. On our exhale, we'll open the mouth wide, stick our tongue out as far as we can. It's real pretty. Touching the tip of the tongue towards the chin, opening our eyes super wide and rolling our eyes up to our third eye. And that exhale is like a warm, steaming up the mirror exhale, like a when you go to steam your glasses to wipe them off, it's not a and straining your vocal cords. We don't want to do that, okay? And we want to take big full breaths. And that exhale is all about emptying. If you want to add the hand position, you flip your palms forward and you turn your fingers back toward the body. So that's a big intense stretch for the wrists. I'll demo one and then you can start at your own rhythm and pace. So to begin, we close the eyes. You can lean forward on the palms. Inhale through the nose. Sit up a little taller. I'm going to breathe in as much as I can. And then back on the exhale, I'm going to lean into my palms, open the mouth, stick up my tongue, roll my eyes open, and let out that nice. Don't rush the exhale. You want to empty every last drop. Close the mouth and the eyes. Inhale through the nose. And don't rush the inhale. You might feel like you want to rush through the inhale. Smooth breath. Big open mouth. Stick out that tongue. Let out that nice steamy ha. Roll the eyes up. So this is a very cleansing breath. Keep going. It's a wonderful way to stretch out the mouth, tongue, the jaw, around the neck. Two more rounds. Whenever you get to your next inhale, we'll breathe in through the nose, we'll sit back on our heels, we'll release our hands down on the knees. You're welcome to take a mudra of choice. If you're choosing chin mudra, you can draw index finger to thumb and extend the other 3 fingers out. You can also keep your palms up. Palms down is a little bit more grounding. We are coming towards the end of our day. Eyes are closed. The mind's eye is either focused at the third eye center or the very center of the throat. Simply pause and breathe. And then on our next inhale, just gently flutter the eyelids open. Start to bring our awareness back to our space. Those of us sitting back on our heels will walk our hands forward, bring the knees back to neutral, and either just do our single leg stretch, one leg at a time to get the blood flowing back through those legs, or feel free to float up to down dog. If you were sitting back on your sit bones, just give your legs a straight stretch straight out in front of the body. And then we'll drop back down to our knees from down dog. Walk our hands back. And as you do, just shift your hips over to either side so that we can sweep our feet back out in front of us. So let's get into a little bit more of our hip work now. We'll scooch ourselves forward on our mat. We'll want to have our yoga straps nearby. So if it's around you, get it closer to you so you don't have to search for it later. You're welcome to roll to one side to come onto the back or plant the soles of the feet, pull the belly in. We're reaching those fingertips forward, and just like we've been doing through a lot of our poses tonight, this is purposeful rounding of the back, one vertebra at a time. When the shoulders and head touch down, let's reach our arms overhead, stretch those legs out into our long body stretch, and point and flex the feet a couple times. Reach to the right side and the left side. Let that low back gently arch. And then on the exhale, we'll float our arms down and step our feet in. So let's get into our variation of Supta Padangusthasana. We'll start with our right leg. Get some hamstring work in, the IT band, a twist, and an inner thigh and groin muscle stretch. Not all in that order. I just said that all out of order, but that's okay. So our knees are bent. Pull that right knee in. Let's hook that strap on the lower part of our arch nearer the heel. Straighten that right leg as much as possible, even if it means the right leg moves away from the body. You're welcome to wrap the strap around the hands. Shoulders should be soft. The throat should be relaxed. Slide that left heel forward. The left leg is very anchored and strong as well. Low back is flat to the floor. We'll hold for a few breaths here. You're welcome to flare the elbows out and try drawing that right leg that's just straight. Nose towards the knee. And if you want even more tonight, you can draw the head up as if you were bringing the nose towards the knee. Some of you might be able to literally do that. Anchor that left leg. One more nice deep breath in. If our head is up, we will lower it down. We'll take the strap in our right hand. We might need to bend our right knee a little bit. We want that thigh bone closer to our torso so that it's moving out at an angle. Keep your left side down, left hand to hip, and let's open our right leg out to our right. And then you can re-extend through that heel. Use your right elbow as a kickstand. The left arm may reach out from the shoulder and head can turn to the left. So nice big stretch for the groin and inner thighs. Take a couple breaths here. So that next inhale, we'll float the head and the leg up. We'll switch hands. And this is where we really want to target the IT band. So in order to do that, sometimes it helps to take that right thumb into our right hip crease as a reminder that we want to keep the right buttock and hip down on the ground. Now you might be able to bring the leg closer or further away. We can play with that a little bit more. The leg stays straight, the back stays flat, and slowly start to angle that right leg over. The more you pull your right hip down, the more that should intensify the stretch. And then move that foot around a little bit in space. Try to get into that real sweet spot. Try to keep the back as flat as possible to the floor. The lower you can bring the leg down with the hip down, that will also intensify the stretch for the outer hip. And then you might try drawing the right knee towards the left shoulder. Really extending out through that heel. Right arm can reach out, head may turn to the right. If this is where we need to do our work tonight, stay here, massage, take your fist, punch into that area. I like to actually hold this a little bit longer and just let it kind of morph into the twist on its own. Without even trying to purposely do the twist, I'll just eventually let my left elbow drop to the ground and keep tension on the belt. And then just very slowly allow that right hip to come up as much as it wants, but with the emphasis and the target on that IT band. Now some of us might need more of the twist for the upper back and the shoulders, and you can hang out there longer. Wherever we are, breathe into the pose and use the exhale to help release any tension or tightness we find. Relax the face and the jaw. Relax the throat and the shoulders. Now we can use a soft Ujjayi breath to help release the tension of the body. We'll let our next inhale bring the head, help that leg back up. Open the strap up, we'll float the left foot up to the right and pause in our waterfall pose. So same thing, other side, we'll bring the right foot to the floor. Strap is near the low arch of the foot. The left leg, we really want to open up the eye of the knee, flare the elbows out. Shoulders might be hovering or relaxed down. Right heel slides forward, that right foot is super active. If the left leg is straight, you may try to draw the left leg closer towards the body, keeping the back flat. And if we'd like, we can add that root of the neck stretch, floating the head up, nose towards the knee. Right leg is strong and anchored to the floor. Good. Big breath in. On the exhale, if our head is lifted, lower it down. Take the strap in the left hand. Bend that left knee as much as we need to angle that left thigh bone higher up. Right hand to hip. Inhale, left leg opens up. Use your kickstand. Use tension on the strap. And then try to re-extend through that leg, pressing the heels out, flexing the toes of the feet. That right side stays down. Right arm may reach out. Head may turn to the right to twist the neck. Inhale, bring the head and the leg up. Straight leg. Right hand holds on. Left thumb into that left thumb crease. Pull your left hip, left lower back and buttock into the floor. Pull it there. Anchor it there. And then slowly angle the straight left leg across that midline. Pull your left hip further down into the ground. Move that foot around in space a little bit. You can kind of get into some different areas with some very small movements. Or you might try to draw the left knee towards the right shoulder with the assistance of the belt. Left hip is still down, left shoulder is down. We may stretch the left arm out, and either with a lot of purpose or just some subtle movements, add a little bit more of a twist, whatever we feel like we need for our body tonight. Sink the weight of the hips to the ground, the shoulders, relax the face, the mouth, the throat. Use that ujjayi breath to help settle the mind, to release tension from the mind and the body. So our next inhale, when we get there, head up, help the leg up, open the strap up, and float the right foot up. Waterfall pose. And we can release the grip on our strap, bend those knees, give your fingertips a little wiggle. You can try to hug our arms around the shin bones, nose to knees, stretching out the whole back here, giving the body a little hug. If you feel like you need to do any other movements, a happy baby, a little windshield wipers, whatever you feel like you might need. And then we'll move into our final relaxation. So if we want to add our props again and move towards the wall, just remember to roll onto your side for a moment, cradle the head on your arm, and then we can move ourselves around. So if we want to come back into that supported leg position with our chair, or you have a wall nearby, you don't even have to come back. If you go to legs up the wall in another room and you want to stay there, that's fine. The meeting will eventually end. Or just stack pillows, anything you want underneath the thighs. So I'll give us all a moment to figure out where we want to be and to get there. Once we figure out where we want to be, get as comfortable as possible. Use those eye coverings if you have them. Make sure you loosen everything up around the body, clothing. Make your surroundings as comfortable as possible. Remember to let go of any expression on the face. Smooth the skin across the brow and the forehead. With the lips softly touching, release the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. Relax the throat. Soften across the heart and the chest. Feel the weight of the arms sink into the ground, relaxing down the arms into the hands, the palms, and the fingertips. Relax all the way around the torso as the low back sinks into the ground, around the waist into the abdomen and belly. And then just feel the weight of the legs, whatever position they happen to be in. Relaxing through the legs, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the feet and toes. Let our bodies find stillness, some peace and calm. Let the breath become quiet, peaceful, and calm. And eventually that monkey mind follows and becomes peaceful and calm. If it wants to run away, with love and compassion, we can gently bring it back, focusing our mind's eye on the rhythm of the breath, or maybe focusing it on the center of our throat, feeling that space and creating that space. So we'll start to gently come back to the rhythm of our breath. And breathe life back into our body, waking up the toes and the fingertips, rocking the head, rolling the ankles and wrists. And of course, if you're in legs up the wall or have your legs up on a chair, just take time to transition from that, hugging the knees to the chest. If we're in a Shavasana, we can reach our arms overhead for a moment, finding that space within our whole body again. And then we'll all draw our knees to our chest and just rock out our low back. Bringing our right arm beside our head, minding our props and our surroundings, rolling onto our right and pausing for a moment here. And then keeping those eyes soft or closed, press into the ground to bring our bodies back up to revisit any comfortable seated posture and finish our practice together with a couple more deep breaths. Find the sit bones, sit up tall through the crown of the head, minding our space, floating the arms out beside the body. Turning the palms up, deep breath in to float the arms up and to gather up everything it is that we need for the rest of our evening. Turn those palms back out, float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and letting go of all that other junk we don't need the rest of our evening. One more time, inhale those arms up. Bringing the palms to touch, exhale, hands to heart center, humbly bowing the head to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be thankful to anyone else that makes it possible for us to come together and practice our yoga. If you'd like to join me in chanting the Om Shanti mantra tonight, feel free to do so. Otherwise, just pause with the breath for a moment. To chant, begin by taking a deep breath in through the nose. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. And I thank you all as usual for doing something good for yourselves, for everybody that we come in contact with.